Gonzo, it's been a while since we've done a cup of tea. Reece Oxford, since we've last done one, Reece Oxford's been sent off. Joe Powell's got his first goal on loan at Northampton. Fernandes has scored an absolute screamer for Fiorentina. And Jordan Hugo has been dropped. So there's been quite a lot of stuff happening since we've done our last cup of tea. How have you been?
Oh, not bad, mate. Not bad. Thank you very much. I did notice Fernandes has been a busy boy today.
Yes, his Instagram. Give me a second there. Yeah, his Instagram. He's someone's been naughty on Fernandez's account on Instagram anyway, and they made a right tit of Fernandez, literally. Anyway, there's quite a few topics to get through tonight. Nothing meaty, but lots of little bits and pieces have been happening. Is there anywhere you'd like to start? I'm a bit prepared tonight, so I've got my checklist and my pen, so we can go in any order you wish.
I'll tell you what I'd like to do. Why don't we do something? Why don't we hear your checklist so we know what's coming up on the show, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, well, coming up, we've got the new look stand for the Bobby Moore and the Sir Cherry booking. Then we've got the new name stand, which is obviously the Billy Bond stand. We're off to China in the summer. Declan Rice's paperwork, West Ham Women's, Nathan Trott, Robert Snodgrass. And then we've got a couple of transfer rumours, sporadic transfer rumours.
Ah, mate. Kick it off wherever you want. We're gonna. I reckon we're going longer than an hour tonight.
But well, let's go with the new stand because that's the main point. A couple of weeks ago, the club released one image of their new look proposed stand for the Bobby Moore and Sir Cherry booking. Essentially, it looks like they're going to be squaring it off. Now, Canterbury in the thing, Canterbury claimed thousands of fans will move up to 4 meters forward. However, people that were at the OSB, which seen it, basically Sean Whetstone, has said about 300 people will move forward. I mean, it's a little bit different to what Karen has said. But what did you make of it when you seen it all?
Yeah, sounds like Diane Abbott's been doing the maths on that one. I think I am pleased with the idea of squaring it off. Okay, I really am. But it goes nowhere near far enough, unfortunately. I think it's a little bit of smoke and mirrors. And this feeds into a bigger conversation, which the Scandinavian Hammers started off the conversation, a questionnaire this week on their social media account. And it also feeds into what happened with the Billy Bonds celebration. And I think by and large, people were suggesting, I've no reason to disbelieve them, we weren't there, that the atmosphere was a lot better. I would expect it to be with Bonzo walking round, the new stand opened, legends, Alvin Martin introducing him, and all that sort of thing. I would expect it to be good. Everyone got in there early, had a bit of a party, and by all accounts, everyone had a nice time, and the atmosphere in the stadium was really good. So Scandinavian Hammers put the question out there, are you happy? I can't remember what the question was, but it was basically, are you still annoyed at the London Stadium, or is it home now? Are you happy about it? And it really started with a very, very good thread, and people made lots of comments. It was quite interesting to see who was happy with it, who wasn't, and there's lots that are happy with it, Geo, and everybody is, of course, entitled to their opinion. And it was great. There were a few people who got quite feisty at people who had the opposite opinion, which was really interesting to see what was going on there as well. And to put my 2 pence worth in, and the two topics do tie together, is you can do what you want at the London Stadium. You could put bands outside, you could have fan zones, you can paint the carpet whatever colour you want. But the fact remains we're too far away from the pitch. And when I was having a conversation with somebody, and they kept on coming back with examples, terrible examples, by saying the new camp's far away. Then they started saying Paris Saint-Germain, who are of course playing tonight against Manchester United, saying, but look how nice their one looks. And it was really my point, well, surely the fact that we need a carpet at all suggests something wrong. I don't want us compared with Paris Saint-Germain. I don't want us compared with Barcelona. I want us compared with Wolves, with Manchester United, with Tottenham. And none of those grounds need a carpet. In fact, we're probably the only ground that does need a carpet. And we need to get a lot closer to the pitch. And unfortunately, these new stands don't get anywhere near enough.
It's a very cosmetic move. It looks better. Is it going to function any better? Not really. Is it going to move people closer? By sounds of it, not many people. It's positive. It's not a bad thing, this new stand look. It's not a bad thing. But I don't think one person, I will be shocked if one person of the 52,000 season ticket holders we have went, I wasn't going to renew next season, but now they're squaring the standoff. I think I might now. I will be surprised there's even one person that has that mentality a little bit. So it's a very cosmetic thing. I know what you're saying about the long term about the stadium, and I seen the Scandinavian Hammers thing. I just think it's one of those times where it's very well asking the question after the Billy Bonds ceremony, while we're winning games, we're looking like we're on the brink of 7th. Of course, people are going to be happy. You know, why wouldn't they be? They're generally positive. If we go lose our next 4 games, stick the same question, you'll get a slightly different tone in responses, etc. But there is examples out there to look at. But the examples such as Marseille all include the stands practically getting knocked down and rebuilt further forward to the pitch. And you look at Marseille's one, if you've got to look at Marseille's stands, there's a massive gap between the back row and sort of the roof of the stadium because they brought it so far forward. There's a gap, but they've just gone, you know what, we're going to have that massive wall behind the stand. If you set, like, it's only going to be solved by chucking money at it. We don't have money. This is very much temporary compromise, if you like, by having a new temporary stand in. The crux of the matter is, when you read it, it said it's going to be cheaper to install. You thought, well, there you go. There's the money make. That's why this is happening. If people who were doing the seats, etc., came back to West Ham saying, we'll square them off an extra £1 million per season, chances are this would not be getting done. I'm pretty convinced this is only getting done to save money, save time. Of course, it's going to save money and time because it's easier and cheaper putting a straight scaffold than it is putting a curve, an oval-shaped one. So, of course, it's going to do those things. It's good news for the stadium owners. It's cheaper. Good news for West Ham. It looks better, but that's as far as it goes for me. It looks a little bit better. But we'll wait and see. It's one of those things you're only going to know in hindsight if it was a really good thing or it was a meh thing. But the issue still remains. We're not any closer than we were. Well, according to Sean Wexton, 600 people will be, and that'll be the people in the middle of the curve will sort of come out. But then there is a repercussion of that, and that's people in the corners who have a natural sight line of looking at the corner flag will then have a natural sight line of looking down the touchline. It's not that big an issue. Normal football stands have that anyways, but, you know, every time there's a winner, there's usually a loser in the same process. The new name stand, the Billy Bonds thing. Now, obviously, you weren't at the game, but there's been plenty of footage after it. Have you been indulging yourself in the feel-good factor?
I did. I was at home for the game, as you know. I was absolutely disgusted when Sky were going on about what a legend Billy Bonds was. And then just as he sort of walked out, Alvin Martin was interviewing him, was just about to say his first words. And, of course, they cut to a commercial break. And then we came back to their pundits talking, I thought, which was a bit of a shame. But, hey, you know, they're not West Ham fans, Sky. So maybe why should they? Having said that, lots of people were sharing footage, weren't they, on social media? So I got to get a good look at it, and we did see some stuff afterwards. And of course, the club themselves put out some really good footage, and it was nice. Do you know what? It was nice for everyone. I thought it was really nice for Billy to. You saw he got really emotional, got really choked up, and that's nice, if you know what I mean. You know, not this. You know, they're nice tears of joy, tears of pride. And I think it was a proud moment for him. And I think it is nice for somebody with that sort of legendary status to be revered like that and to be acclaimed and to walk around and to soak up that atmosphere. I thought it was great. Everybody got in nice and early as well. It was just, there's nothing negative about it at all, mate. It was just good news.
Yeah, I mean, the Sky Sports thing, the only reason it irks me is because whenever you watch TV and say Liverpool are on and it's a big game, i.e. a Champions League game where there'd be a way to play, you know, say we're playing Everton at home on Sunday, so, you know, the chance goes back top of the league. When You'll Never Walk Alone comes on, they will have everyone would have shut up and listened to You'll Never Walk Alone singing. They would have heard the crowd singing for at least 30 seconds. You'd have heard it coming through. And I don't have a problem with that. It's just the bias of it. Because then, like you said, the only good thing with the Sky doing what they did with Billy Bonds is it forced us all to go watch the club stuff. And I'd much rather we all had to go watch what the club produced and we're seeing fans' footage and we're listening to fans' opinions of it, because I'd much rather hear from people that were there that support West Ham, that are involved with West Ham, rather than, you know, Jamie Redknapp at the side of the pitch, for example. So that is one slight positive. It's really good for Billy, because I remember there was an evening. I mean, he did an evening with him and someone else. I'm sure he said in it the club wouldn't really honour him or bother with him until he passed away, if you like. And he's tried to say that that was the norm. You know, people don't really get the recognition while they're alive. You have to pass away before people go, well, what a legend that guy was. And so I think it's really good and 100% positive by the club to get something sorted before that and let Billy experience it with his family on the pitch as well. And you could see him, you know, he's breaking down in tears, etc. So you could see what it meant to him. And I think it had an effect on some of the West Ham players. You know, you saw Declan Rice in a tunnel before the game with Billy, you know, after Declan said that that's the first time he'd ever met him, etc. But it would have meant a lot to someone like Declan, and obviously Mark as well. It would have meant something to Mark. Not every West Ham player would have heard of Billy Bonds. There would have been some people on that day would have said, who's Billy Bonds, or etc. But some would have, and I think it carried on the momentum, if you like. It's no coincidence that that happens. And for the first time in months, West Ham start the game like that, because usually we've been starting really poorly, so it's no coincidence. Have you seen where we're heading? Well, I assume you've seen where we're heading for pre-season this summer.
In China, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so the news is West Ham are off to China, and Shanghai are hosting the Asian Trophy Cup this season, which is containing West Ham United, Newcastle United, Manchester City, and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Bit of a trek, Gonzo. I mean, Pellegrini said before that he doesn't like going long distances, but apparently he's sort of had his arm twisted by the commercial value. Is this Pellegrini being told, you know, the money on offer is too good to turn down, I'm afraid, Manuel, so you're going to have to go over there with your team?
Yeah, I wouldn't go there. I don't blame Pellegrini for not wanting to go there, but Pellegrini needs to do what he's told, because Pellegrini's picking up £8 to £10 million a year. He's very, very highly paid, and if the club tell him he's going to China, Timbuktu, or the moon, he's going to have to go there, because that's what they deem necessary. I initially thought maybe they'll say to him, oh, well, it's worth an extra $5 million to us, you can have that on players. I wouldn't even imagine even that's happened. You know, he has paid a lot of money. He got to bring in his own team. He basically gets to run the club, and if part of that offsetting his massive wages is a trip to China, then so be it. I'd rather not. I really liked it actually pre-season, but having said that, we started appallingly, didn't we? So maybe a trip to China will work. Who knows?
I'm not keen on them. I'm never keen on these long distance things and stuff. And if your manager would rather stay local, I think you have to stick with what your manager wants, even if it comes at a cost of giving up a £3, £4, £5 million payment in order to go play in a tournament. You know, you have to sort of say, well, what's the risks and repercussions? And if one of them is your manager's doing something he doesn't really believe in before the start of the season, I mean, that's a pretty major one. I'd say that far outweighs a £5 million check. However, if it gets you another Balbuena for the season, then, you know, it's probably worth it. Again, it's one of those things in hindsight, because you imagine we go over there and one of our players gets injured, we're all going to stamp our feet and say we should never book it off to China. Leaving Marko Navic behind, do you think? I mean, it's quite funny. His brother said he wanted to win titles in China, so we're going there to try and win a trophy.
Yeah.
That's sort of out-bastarding the bastard, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, Man City will pick up that trophy as well to add to their ever-bulging trophy cabinet. They can probably put that in the second stadium they're building in the and all the land they own around the Etihad. So I don't know. Yeah, it does make you a bit cynical. It's cynical, really, doesn't it? I can't even imagine he's getting sold anyway, Geo. I just can't. He'd have to really turn it on, as we discussed in the review. I just don't think it's going his way. I'm sensing a lot of good feeling towards Chicharito at the moment, and we both expect him to start Chicharito in the next game. I think it could be one of those weird situations whereby the club tied Arnautovic down to a new contract to try and get the maximum amount of money, and actually I wouldn't be surprised if come the end of the season they're wishing they'd have accepted the 35 million, because he'd probably be worth less. Yeah,
I can completely understand with that sort of analogy, and even as a fan, I'm starting to wish that we just accepted that 35 million and got him out, because I'll mention, we'll go into more in the preview tomorrow night, but basically, do you know how many league games Marko Navic has scored in since the last 4 months? Last 4 months, league games.
None or something? I don't know.
One. Right. Yeah. He did score 2, but he's only scored 1 league game in the last 4 months. I mean, people keep banging on about him being the striker. He has to start, and you think, well, does he? But, you know, it's very well doing it for 1 game, but then someone said, well, he's been unavailable for other games. So, yeah, through his own fault.
Yep.
It's no one else's fault. Yes, I know he had a bruised foot for one game, but Bournemouth and Wimbledon, he could have played, but he chose not to. His head was in the right place. So I don't have any sympathy for this whole, oh, well, he's been absent type thing. So we'll wait and see the China thing comes about. Hopefully we can win it. That and the Betway Cup. That'd be a nice double for the summer. Won't be getting used to this stuff. I'll tell you what could complicate that is if we finish 7th and get into the Europa League qualifiers, and suddenly we've got to get back here, going over to China. Then you've got qualifiers late July, I think they are. So that's just a bit of a kerfuffle. But anyway, from China to England, Declan Rice has had his paperwork approved by FIFA for the switch. Southgate names his next squad next Wednesday. Are you expecting Declan to be in it?
Yeah. We know that Mick McCarthy basically offered Declan Rice the earth in terms of building the Irish team around him. It would be silly to think that Southgate hadn't made some attempt to entice Rice over to England. And whilst I don't think he would have ever said, we're going to build the team around you, I'm pretty sure that's being done to other players. Maybe Harry Kane, the team's built around Harry Kane, let's say. I'm pretty sure he would have said, look, come on, Declan, commit to us. You'll be in the next squad. Maybe something like that. And he certainly would have earmarked him for whatever position. And probably would have said, look, I'm at your earmarked for this position, and I see your competitors as being A, B, and C. So I think Declan would have listened to that conversation and thought, do you know what, I'm going to give England a go. I don't think it was all about what not everybody. A few people suggested he was more marketable and his agent would have got him to do it and he would get more money. I don't think that came into it. I think he sees glory. I think he's looking at football stuff and he probably thinks he could be involved in what is a very, very exciting crop of English talent. I expect him to be in the squad.
Yeah, he's 100% got to be in it. Him and Winks are your first two England midfielders on form. Longstaff, well, he's been touted as now injured, and the sort of injury might stop him getting in the squad anyway. Then you've got Henderson. Dyer's not really been featuring for Spurs all that much recently either. So, yeah, I'd be shocked if he's not in that England squad, to be honest with you. West Ham women have made it to the quarter-final of the FA Cup, and they're playing Villa, who they are expected to beat. So we could have a semi-final at West Ham women, not too far away. Nathan Gonzo signed a new deal a couple of days ago. It was announced 2022, I think, so a longish term deal. Is he good enough to be the number 2 keeper, do you think, next season? Adrian's contract's up in the summer. Do you think this is the perfect scenario?
Yeah, he's really good, Geo. He's really good. I've seen him play twice. He's really athletic, good reflexes. Reminds me of De Gea a little bit, but actually perhaps more comfortable with the ball at his feet, which sounds ridiculous. We're talking about a goalkeeper, but that seems to be the modern way with the Liverpool one and the geezer at Man City. They all seem to be comfortable bringing the ball out, don't they? So he's a good player, a really, really good prospect. He's under 20 England keeper as well. Let's not forget, De Gea, I think went to Man United when he was 18 or something like that. He was a skinny little runt of a lad, really. And, he was good enough then. So I think as a number 2, particularly bearing in mind how dominant Fabianski is as number 1, I think Nathan Trott would do well to be number 2 next season. And you know what? Even if he just plays one cup game or almost makes 2 appearances but stays on the bench, that's a good learning curve for him.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think this is the natural thing here. Adrian's contract's up. We're all expecting him to leave anyway. So I think it is a good time to say, cheers, Adrian. You've got a little fan favourite status about you, so off you pop and stuff. And this is financially, this is a very clever thing to do as well. Getting rid of a keeper who's probably on about 50 grand a week, and bringing in a keeper who's going to cost you nothing, and you're replacing him who's probably on about 20 grand a week, maybe. I don't know. I'm guessing probably less than that, given how Declan Rice's contract went. So it's probably on about 10 grand a week or something. So you're saving quite a lot of money a week, replacing your keeper for free. It makes perfect business sense as well for football. Fabianski's injury record is complete 100% decent, so there's no concerns about that. I would still play him in the cup games next season. Even the League Cup, I'd play Trott in them all. If we've got Europa League, then that's another opportunity that he could be playing games in. But yeah, this for me makes complete sense. I'd rather see this because our other under-23 keeper, whose name escapes me right now, is supposed to be very good as well. So there's succession there for Nathan Trott as well. So it's like, it just makes sense in all angles. And just, I don't want to see us go in the summer and get a 35-year-old in on 60 grand a week on a one-year deal, whether it's Willie Caballero or someone else of that ilk, and then it just hinders Trott, stops Trott getting onto the bench for games, etc. Let's just take a gamble on our youth. It's worked out with Giancana and Rice, and Ben Johnson's obviously come through as well. It's Nathan Trott's turn. Might not necessarily get the gloves on for many games, but he's got to be the number 2 next season for me. Robert Snodgrass has been in trouble. Did you say that? He's been charged for saying something naughty to the doping people at Rush Green. It's been labelled as a misunderstanding. It's been taken out of context. So I don't know what he said, but...
yeah, I mean, they need to try and... I follow a lot of boxing, a lot of mixed martial arts, and I know about the World Anti-Doping Authority. I know about a lot of the doping. I've followed the athletics when the state-sponsored doping and the Russian scandal. I do follow it, and I think he was having a bit of banter, and you've only got to look at that video where he dressed up as a cabbie. Has anyone seen that video where he dresses up as a taxi driver, Snodgrass, and drives these fans around? They don't know Snodgrass.
I can't remember his fake name, but from Glasgow, the worst disguises I've ever seen in a video, but yes,
but I think Snodgrass is a funny guy. He seems like a funny guy. He seems like somebody who's going to contribute to a lot of banter in the dressing room, and probably a really fun geezer to be around as well. Now, when you're having a drugs test, this is a very, very tense environment. People see drugs tests and they think, oh, it's nothing. You have got to state your availability at all times that you're available for a drugs test. People might remember Rio Ferdinand a little while ago, probably was 10 years ago or something. We went to buy a house and he went to see the estate agent. He hadn't given the time to the drug testers and they turned up at his house, but he was actually viewing a house and he got a ban. It's stuff as simple as that. So here's what happens. You have to account for every minute of your time. You have to be available. So what can happen is these drug testers can come and knock on your door of your house at 4 a.m. and demand you provide a sample. Now you don't get to go to the toilet and come back with a little jar of yellow liquid. They will stand there and literally got to whip your pride and joy out. And they watch you do it. I think it's a system that's got to be in place, Geo, because you've got to stop cheating. But I think they've got to realise that it is quite a tense situation. I wouldn't particularly want it. I wouldn't want someone staring at me, what's it, while I was having a wee, do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes if someone wants to make a little joke to make light of the situation, because that's what would have been going on. They would have turned up and they would have been saying, you piss into this, you piss into this, you piss into this, and we're going to watch you. I can imagine for someone as mischievous as Snodgrass, that's the perfect opportunity to make a joke and probably lighten the atmosphere. And the fact that they've taken offence to that and he's been reported for it, I think it's quite frankly pathetic, because that's the situation. You've got to take it into the context, and that's the context. They've got to understand if they're going to look at people's private parts and walk into people's private areas, for want of a better word, they're going to have to accept that it's a sensitive situation. They've got to get a bit of a sense of humour in that, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, like you said, Snodgrass is the funny man, and he's a character. Even when you watch Declan Rice's small interview with Tubes and Soccer AM, they said to him, "Who's the funny guy?" Straight away, he says Robert Snodgrass. And Tubes said to him, "Have you heard that joke he does?" And Declan's like, "Yeah, he's always doing like prank calling people." I think Snodgrass does a lot. Snodgrass prank calls people and stuff. But yeah, I completely agree. But anyway, we're going to move on to the last couple of transfer rumours. We're not going to discuss this because we've got loads of transfer shows coming up near summer, so we're not going to go into it too much. But West Ham are being linked with Zapata, who is Atalanta striker, rumoured to be around 40 million euros. Apparently, we're going to be battling out with Inter Milan to get him. Maxi Gomez is now being linked to Anfield, and so it looks like Liverpool are after Pellegrini's #1 target. And tonight we are being linked with Millwall's right back Romeo, who's out of contract in the summer, 23 years of age. But we're not going to discuss that. We're going to go straight into our questions from our social media, which is Twitter and YouTube. Earlier, if you left a comment on your subscription box, and it'll be there. You can put your comments in the live chat if you're watching this live on YouTube. I'll try and write them down as we get through them. It's quite a few to get through tonight, Gonzo. So starting with Growing Perspective on YouTube, he says, what's your top 3 things about moving to the London Stadium and the 3 bad things for leaving Upton Park? Well, let's just ignore the Upton Park thing. Let's go for the top 3 things about the London Stadium. Positivity. We've just slagged off at the start of the show a little bit, so let's inject a little bit of London Stadium positivity.
Yeah. He did say going to the London Stadium, so I will include my match day ritual in that. And my match day ritual has improved. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And I'm not saying this is a shameless plug for the boats. This is the truth. And anybody that sees me down there will know it's the truth, because I get stupidly drunk and have a bloody good time with everybody, because we've created a little local down there. And it's a safe environment. It's a good environment. And I go down there and I see me mates, lots of them, made lots of different friends, lots of new friends, and they're regulars, and you see them all the time. And you go down there now and there's 20, 30, 40 different people who I now know. And it's a really, really good day out, Geo. And you know it. It's really nice. Absolutely love that part of it. And as iconic as the bowling pub used to be, as Queen's used to be, it was never like that. You know, I was always in a rush to get in and out. It was always took a long time to get served. And, you know, you're always in a hurry to get to the stadium. Now I'm sort of in a hurry to get down to the boats for, 2-3 hours before the game to enjoy a drink. So that's a big part of it. The second positive thing, I now get to have a piss and a beer at half time. And that's good, because you couldn't do that up to Park. The other thing is probably half time again. We've got a lovely area at the bottom of the steps where a load of us just congregate, and we do meet at half time. And as time has gone on, the group has got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's all part. And the people that I sit with as well, the people that sit around us, Alex and Drew and Andy and everybody, and it's nice. It's nice to go into your season ticket seat and what is it, 3 seasons now, you're getting to know people. Those are the positives.
Boats for me is number 1. It's a little community, if you like, and stuff. And some people have said to me before, I'll just be coming myself. I'll always say to them, bugger it, just come down, and you only need to come once. And next time you come, you'll know 2 or 3 people, and the time after that you'll come, you'll know 5 or 6 people, because you'll always meet a couple of people every single time you come. And for people watching this channel that was watched a lot, that's how myself and Gonzo met Mike, for example. Mike came down by himself as well. That's how I met Bez. Bez messaged me one game, said, "Do you mind, I'm coming to the football. Can I come with you for breakfast?" He came with me and Tom for breakfast and came to the boats, etc. That's how I've met a lot of people, and a lot of people that's on this channel through the boats. Second for me is sort of season ticket affordability and availability. It's coincidence, I suppose, with my life that my disposable income afforded me to go and get a season ticket, but it goes hand in hand. And also, you've got your kids' season ticket next to you. It's well known on this channel, you've got 4 children. You've got a kids' season ticket for 99 quid, so you can take your kids with you. And if it was say £300-400, I can't speak for you, but I'd imagine you wouldn't bother with it or such. You might just take them on a game by game basis, 1 per season or something. So that, because we also know a lot of people with kids that do go to the football and stuff. And there's a lot of people I've seen on that Scandinavian Twitter as well. Actually, a lot of people said, well, I can never afford a season ticket, but the £289 ones means I can now get a season ticket and stuff. So that is one. And then my third one, I suppose, I don't know, I suppose it's people. It's like you said, it's about enjoying your match day, about the people around you. Like you said, the halftime thing. I also know where Nick, etc., is in the ground, so I can go there and see them, etc., etc. So yeah, that's my 3 things. Ben Sopper says, how much do you think the club will need to spend in the summer if we're to try for top 6 next season? We'll keep this one quick because we get this question quite a bit.
I think we're close. If everybody's fit, I think we're close. I think I mentioned it on the video, whatever it was, Sunday. I think if we've got 60-70 million to spend and we spend that on 2 quality players.
Do you know how much we've apparently got to spend?
Well, no, have you heard something?
It's like a rumor that's floating around.
No, I've not heard. No,
25-30 million. Honestly, that's a rumor. To be perfectly clear, that is a rumor. Okay.
No, I've not heard that at all.
That's a rumor that we've got 25-30 million before players sold, etc. We've got 25-30 million.
Well, that would be unacceptable. Well, do you know what? I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to lose it. I'm not going to have someone said I should have a rent. I'm not going to rent about that because it's not happened yet, and that's just a rumor. But that will be unacceptable, in my opinion. So, as I was saying, so if we've got 60, 70 million to spend, I'd like to see that go on 2 quality players for certain. You've got to also expect, and I think that would get us top 6. I would not expect Wolves, who spent big in the summer, to be spending 25 million. So, what gets 6th is that the bar is going to be raised. Everton won't be as bad as they've been this season either. They'll actually buy a striker, I'd imagine, as well. So, but I think we can. I think if we spend 2 more real good quality players and everyone fit, I think we give it a good crack.
The top 6. 120 million, roughly, I think, at least. At the very least, I think we'll need quality players, and they come at a price now. We've just seen how much quality players cost this season. That 25, 30 million, that buy us our second top target this summer. Our top target, Maxi Gomez, is 40 million. You won't even get him. You'd have to sell Obiang and use up all your money. Let's go and get Maxi Gomez. Can't replace Obiang. Well, to be fair, Obiang's replacement might be at Fiorentina this season, but the problem is they've got that £6-7 million fee agreed, so they can buy him if they want him for that price anyway. But anyway, so yeah, 120 million, I reckon, at least, and that's just to try and compete with 6th spot. But the only problem is, it's not like we spend 120 million. It's not like we start competing. We've also got Wolves. And I think Leicester apparently, Leicester City have 150 million to spend this summer. Apparently, they're giving Brendan Rodgers 150 million to spend. Now, if you take that Leicester squad and add 150 million, that's a top 6 team there. So, this is do or die for the board. They're still riding off their good money last summer, and rightly so. Okay, rightly so. It's been a good season in rule of thumb. I've said it's been a good season. But the problem is, if it comes to summer, your net spends 30 million, the people that were groaning before last summer are going to start groaning again, and rightly so, because then will people bring up their quotes next level? Well, 30 million spend is not as Norwich City come up. I expect them to spend more than 30 million. So we'll wait and see. It's just a rumour just now. Flight time. I don't want him to go, but do you think we'll get any bids for Anderson in the summer, and how much do you value him at? And Flight Time says, I think he's done well, but sadly think if he was in one of the top teams, he would be even better.
Yeah, but everybody would be even better in one of the top teams, wouldn't they? So I don't anticipate any bids for him, because I just think it's so hard for people to buy players from other Premier League teams now, because we're all rich. Well, apart from us, apparently, we've only got 20 million quid to spend, but everybody's rich in terms of the revenue. I think we in the 20 richest clubs in Europe, the Premier League feature heavily, and certainly West Ham are within that. You would not say Crystal Palace in terms of from a national status as a club are a big club, but because they're in the Premier League and they're in good form now, so it looks like they'll stay in the Premier League, they are now a rich club. So Wan-Bissaka may or may not be their best player. It might be Zaha, might be Wan-Bissaka, but let's just say it's Wan-Bissaka. Nobody is going and pulling Crystal Palace's pants down and getting him on the cheap. If you want that player, you are going to pay. And do you know what? Someone will offer 50 million and Crystal Palace will still say no. Why? Because they can. They can say no, and they can say, actually, it's 75 million. And so someone's going to have to pay 65 to get him. With that in mind, I think people might look at Anderson and think, oh, there's going to be another tricky Brazilian somewhere who's going to cost, from Portugal or wherever, who's going to cost 30 million rather than trying to pay 75 million for Anderson.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, this might upset a few people, but bugger it. To give the perfect example to your... Why are you laughing?
But bugger it. I like that.
Yeah, why not?
Upset him. Just upset him. Go on.
Well, to be fair, people just listen to what I'm saying rather than just jumping on my nationality here. The Brendan Rodgers thing is a perfect example to that. Celtic are a bigger club than Leicester City, okay? However, Leicester City play in a richer league. They play in a bigger league. They've got far more pool than Celtic will ever have. It's far more competitive. So I can quite understand why Brendan Rodgers gone to Leicester. However, Celtic, in my opinion, are the bigger club than Leicester, and that just backs up what you're saying there. Crystal Palace are not a big club in European football, but they're one of the richest because they're playing in the Premier League. So I think Brendan Rodgers is the perfect example to that, if you like. As for Anderson, I would say he's probably worth about 45, 50 million. What we paid, actually, I think at this sort of a third way through the season when he was in his purple patch, his value would have went up. But since then, it's when we've been needing creativity, when we've been saying who's going to come and grab this game by the scruff of the neck, he's not done it. So his value's come back down a little bit, and he's sort of been West Hammed out a little bit. Not quite good enough for the top six, but you're good enough for one of the best of the rest, if you like. And that is exactly where West Ham United sit. I think he's at the right club, Felipe Anderson. Graham Morris, what are your views on the board now with regards to taking us up to the next level, the right way, i.e. not flooding the club with oil dollars? Cheers, guys.
I
might need some fucking oil dollars.
I think so, yeah. Yeah. Blimey, I'll tell you what, that's crude oil. I'll tell you what, look, by the sounds, we aren't even getting olive oil or sunflower oil in the summer. I like it done organically. I don't like this game that nations play by buying clubs and yanking oil out of the ground and then spending more than a country is worth on players. It's just not. I do hanker over those days when Nottingham Forest were able to win the league, and that's not just Nottingham Forest winning the league, it's Nottingham Forest being able to win the league. Aston Villa competing for the European Cup, Celtic winning the European Cup, Steaua Bucharest winning the European, that sort of thing. Ajax had wasn't it lovely to see Ajax? Wasn't that great to see somebody other than one of the big teams doing something? Because Ajax are a team of pedigree, and I like that, and I just think it's all been distorted. And it started with obviously Roman Abramovich's money coming in. Man United are just rich, but they're rich because they are a massive, massive club. Actually, you wouldn't say. In fact, they've borrowed to do it in many respects. They've saddled themselves with debt, so that's something else that perhaps shouldn't happen. So I do like it done organically, but I tell you what, us moving was meant to be the organic process. Us moving into that stadium was meant to have us challenge him. And I'm sorry, I know I said I wouldn't mention it, but you mentioned that 20, 25 million has irritated me, actually, already, because that can't happen, because our reason for moving was to have more money. We only spent big in the summer because we've not really spent much before it. We are meant to be in the richest league in the world, which we are. The capacity is just being raised up to 60-odd thousand, possibly raising to 66,000 again. We've done our part. We were 36,000 at Upton Park, or 34,000, and now we 90% fill that huge, massive stadium. We should be doing a bit better. Those are my thoughts on the board. This season's great, but we need to carry on pushing on because that's what was promised.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, I think they're struggling to do it organically, though. The board, they've got their own capacity in terms of financial commitments, etc., etc. And I think they've almost reached it a little bit. They could probably do more, but at the same time, this is what I keep saying. David Gold and David Sullivan could chuck in 80 million to the club tomorrow. It would get us from 8th to 7th in the league. That's it. It's not going to get us anywhere. It's a bit like this whole argument about knocking the stands down and building them again. It would cost 300 million for what? We already sell out in season tickets. We already sell every single ticket for every single game. There's literally no financial benefit to doing the ground improvements that they could do. It'll cost hundreds of millions for no financial reward. And it's a bit like them this summer. They were both chucking a load of their own cash. It wouldn't get us anywhere because the top six is just, it needs a staggering amount of cash. So we almost need the oil money, or you need to get seriously lucky / gamble. And what I mean by that is cash in on one or two players when they're at their peak value, i.e. Declan Rice. You say, right, well, 80 million for Declan Rice, off he goes, and we're getting two players at 40 million. It's like what Spurs did with Modric and Bale. They had to sell their best players, and they used the money to slowly climb. And that's how they did it. And that's how you've got to do it if you're a club outside the top six. You have to find a couple of players, their value enhances, and you have to cash in. But the struggle is going and getting the replacement. Leicester tried it, got Conte in for next to nothing, sold him to Chelsea, and they struggle. What now? They didn't really have an answer. It's a very difficult thing to do. It's easy to sit here and say, oh, they're not the people to take us forward, but it's difficult. How far away, Brendan Stickle says, how far away is Declan Rice from being given the captain's armband? So far this season, it's been shown to Noble, Zabaleta, Marco Arnautovic, Aaron Creswell, and Andy Carroll ahead of him. I'm assuming, and healthy Winston Reid is in there as well.
I can only assume he's still a distance away because because Noble handed it to Arnautovic, which indicates to me that Pellegrini's had some influence in that. I think perhaps Pellegrini doesn't want to saddle him with the extra burden, wants him to concentrate on his game and not worry about those things. I'm sure it will come. He is a leader. He will be captain. He'll represent us and whoever he joins after us, and England maybe as well. I'm sure there'll be lots and lots of captaincy time, but I think maybe he's a little way away from it just yet.
I don't want to see him get it for those reasons. I don't think he needs the pressure, but saying that, I think he's almost sort of proven he can carry any pressure. If he can take on this pressure of almost being our best outfield player week in, week out, he's taking on the Ireland-England switch thing. I mean, that's a lot of pressure, which was self-inflicted as well, but he's handled it perfectly well. I would now almost come away from the pressure thing and put into a reward thing, and that is at some point we're going to have to give Declan some reason to stay at West Ham, whether it's rumours, whether it's agents trying to tap him up a little bit, or a bid comes in. We have to be able to say to Declan, don't go because of this. And I think the captain's armband is that thing, because eventually in a year, 2 years, none of us expect Martin Noble to be playing week in, week out. So then the thing goes to Declan, you will be the vice captain. Mark's not on the pitch, you're the captain. It's as simple as that. And I think it's almost that is enough to try and then say, because it's almost like, when people a year ago might have said, why would you go sit on the bench at City when you can play a first team at West Ham? Well, we're now past that. He's good enough for first team at City when Fernandinho's not there. So now we have to now come up with something else, which is, well, why would you go to City when you can be the captain at West Ham? You almost need to come up with something. That's why I would keep it forward, but which I'm not expecting Rice to say, actually, yeah, I'm going to stay here and be captain and turn down the opportunity. But I just feel we need to have something to offer him, and that's the last thing, really, apart from a shed load of cash. Moving on to Twitter, at the Hoss84 says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this season so far, and has it met your expectations? I'm saying 8 out of 10. This is Dan's. I'm saying 8 out of 10, which is brilliant considering the injuries, etc.
Has it met
your expectations?
Right.
There is proof, by the way, before you say.
Yeah. Okay. Well. If we take into account the proof, then my expectations to finish mid-table and have a good cup run. So it's half. So it's got to be 5, isn't it? It's got to be 5 out of 10 because we've done mid-table and we've had a crap cup run. It was absolutely abysmal. So it would have to be 5 out of 10, which is probably not reflective of how Pellegrini's done. That's got to be a different mark out of 10. But yeah, the marks out of 10 versus my expectations got to be it's half. But
what about adding player performances, transfers, youngsters?
Oh, enjoyment, enjoyment, and taking away the Wimbledon thing. I've enjoyed it. It's been a much better, more upbeat season. I've definitely more 7 out of 10 than 5, certainly.
Yeah, I'll go not quite 8, but 7 out of 10. The cup thing's a big one for me because that's the number one thing. And there's been a couple of games this season they've been a bit boring, and Pellegrini has messed up on a few occasions with his tactics, etc. And then there's the Arnautovic saga. Well, I think Pellegrini handled it reasonably well. I think we've maybe made a mistake by not selling him, but also giving him the contract is the one thing that sort of deducts half a point at least out of the season for me, because that's something that's going to be a black cloud come the end of the season, because it's still affecting us now. It's now March, and this Arnautovic thing is still affecting us. So it's a month and a half, 2 months later. So 7.5 for me. I'm happy with football. I think Pellegrini wants to win every game. I like what he's trying to do, the players he's using, the way he's managing the players. You have a crap game, you're dropped. He's got seemingly, he doesn't have any favourites. I mean, you'd imagine if he has one favourite, it's Zabaleta, and he's showing that he'll drop him. So, yeah, for all that, he gets good points. Something about London Stadium, we'll skip that one. Here we go. This we always get this one. I think I know your answer, but just in case it's changed, Alan, insurance number says, would you rather finish 7th and qualify for the Europa League, or finish 8th and not have that distraction next season?
Yeah, 8th. I won't do the reasoning why. Again, I did it in a video on Sunday, but yeah, too early for Europe, for Mickey Mouse Europe. But anyway,
7th and Europa League for me. No doubt, because this is what football's about. We're trying to get into Europe, and then when we almost get there, we go, actually, don't really want to finish 7th and get in Europe. Let's go back a little bit. We all sit here and say we want the next level. Then we've got a chance of getting into the next level, which is Europa League. Then we all go.
It's not the next level. I'm sorry. Playing Domzale, playing away in Moscow on a Thursday is not next level. We'll have all our games on a Sunday. It is not the next level. That is dragging it back. Champions League's next level. I'll give you that. Going and playing teams like Ajax, going and playing teams like that. But I tell you what, playing a team that might have finished 8th in the Cypriot League, it is not next level. It's terrible. Actually, I think it's a terrible competition.
Oh no, it's next level for me. Being competitive in your domestic cups, i.e., quarterfinals onwards, that's one way of next level. And another way is Europa League, because yes, there is a few Mickey Mouse teams in there, but you know what? There might be the champion. There might be the second place on the Bulgarian league or something might be in Europa League. I'm not 100% sure, but let's just say they are. So Ludogorets are a Bulgarian team that are usually in the mix. So Ludogorets fans might look at it and go, West Ham, that 7th place in the Premier League, that's who we get for finishing 2nd in our league. We have to play 7th in England. We want Chelsea or Arsenal or something. But when you get to the latter stages of Europa League, which with a squad of our ability, we should be able to do while resting 3 or 4 first-team players every game. We should be able to get out that group, okay? Then you come up against some decent teams, and you come up against the 3rd place from the Champions League. So I don't know who's in the knockout, but I know Arsenal's still in there, Chelsea's still in there. You got Red Bull Salzburg, you got Frankfurt, who are banging in goals in Bundesliga. You got all them. No, I want European football at the London Stadium. I want European football. I want, I won't have enough priority points to go, but I want the away fans to have the ability and the option to go away in Europa League and watch us play whoever it is. Even if it is Ludogorets, people will want to go there. I'm all for the Europa League, because what's the point in football otherwise if you just want to finish 8th, etc.? Nah, Europa League, 100%. And that's probably, and funny enough, Europa League is probably the best way of getting into the Champions League for West Ham. It's probably easier for us to win a Europa League than it is to finish 4th in the Premier League.
But I don't agree with all that. All this thing about finishing 4th and finish. I think it's all about trophies. That's why I want to see us win the cup. I don't even get on a Champions League level why Arsenal did it for so long, and we're happy to finish 4th each season, but you're not making history. You're just not. Even Tottenham are celebrating it at the moment. Oh yeah, we're getting a Champions League. To what end? Granted, if they go on and win it, brilliant. You've actually created some history. That's why I want us to win in the cup, because we will remember that. We won't remember what season we finished 11th or 8th, or was it 12th or anything like that. Of course, some people who document it will do, but it is about glory. It is about glory for me. I just don't see much glory in traipsing over Europe and playing on a Sunday. I've got to say, I'd rather us concentrate on the FA Cup and the League Cup and win that.
Yeah, well, I would too. But the question is 7th or 8th. I would rather finish 7th, because it's about memories for me as a football fan. There is a question. Let me just try and find it and skip to it. From Pedro at PGson2 says, "What's the best moment you remember being a West Ham fan?" Well, I'm going to go first for this. You're not like the last night at the Upton Park, because that's like a cheat night, right? Mine, for me, we've done a video on this, so we might not remember each other's, but obviously people might not have seen the video because it was about 3 years ago, because Upton Park was still there. We did it in Upton Park. Mine was when Christian Daly scored in the second leg of the playoff against Ipswich. The noise in that place it's generated. It was a playoff semi-final. It wasn't the final, etc. But that's the best moment for me as a West Ham fan, because of the noise, because of the memories, because of the feeling it gave you, etc. And that's what I think European football can give you. Just maybe one night of magic. But if you go ask Fulham fans, give me one of your best moments, they will pick. I'm pretty sure it was Juventus. They beat at Craven Cottage. They beat Juve at Craven Cottage. They will pick out that night and say that night was magical. Okay, they have Berbatov and Van der Sar or whatever in their team, but that's what it's about. Memories. Anyway, what's your favourite memory as a West Ham fan? I think I know this one.
No, I'll tell you what it was. It's not even particularly football related. It was getting in. It was Upton Park, but it was actually being able to take my old man and my son pitch side at Upton Park and sit in the dugout. I still got a video of me lads running up. But basically, for half an hour, we had the stadium almost to ourselves. It was that was special. That was really, for me to be able to do that for me old man. Do you know what I mean? Who, we've been going since however long it was, whatever, 50s, 60s, since the 30s, mate. So that was lovely.
At Sparkle CS61, he says, "Hi Geo Gonzo, Terry here from Essex. We have 9 games left. How many will we win, and how much points will we pick up?"
That's hard. I've not done my calculations yet, Terry. I'm afraid. So I will have to get back. I have to get back to you on that one. But I think, do you know what? From points tally wise, we get another 3 wins. We'd have done very well. That'll take us to a decent points total. Another 9-10 points would be very good.
I seen the fixtures. I think I said 12 or 13 points because there's quite a few tough ones in there. We've got Chelsea away, Spurs away, Man United away. I put them all down as losses. I thought, well, I'm going to be realistic here. But I'll tell you what's interesting. Second last game of the season, we're at home to Southampton. That could be massive for them. They could be in that relegation mix then. And then the last game of the season away to Watford, that could be a straight shootout for 7th and 8th or something. And then we might have Wolves in the mix as well. So we could all be trying to win our game, but keep an eye on what Wolves is doing. So that could give us a little bit of drama, which is good because the last few last game of the seasons recently, it's been a bit of, are we going to finish 10th or 13th? This is exciting, isn't it? No, not really. What's exciting is having a few beers before and after, and then the game comes, you think, do we have to go watch the football? We nothing to play for. So we might have something to play for this year. At Simon Cruikshank says, if Pellegrini chooses Hernandez ahead of Arnautovic, would he not de-appreciate what we'd get for him come the summer?
Yes, I do believe that, but I also don't believe that it's the manager's job to take that into consideration. I think the manager's job is to pick the best team at hand. That one's on Sullivan, I'm afraid, because Sullivan never should have done that contract. I think you could have asked any West Ham fan. I think you could have asked any of the management team. Could have asked anyone. Shall I give Arnie a new contract? Everybody would have said, no, he's playing up. He's been an absolute prima donna. Do not do it. There's only one person who thought that was a good idea, and unfortunately was the person that had the power to give him the contract. It is not Pellegrini's job to basically create a crash mat for that ridiculous deal. Pellegrini's got to get us as many points as he can between now and the end of the season. And you don't know. Maybe if Hernandez, because Hernandez is a bloody good player and a very good finisher. We've seen it at numerous top clubs. We've seen it for Mexico. What about if Pellegrini makes Hernandez his main man and Hernandez scores goals until the end of the season? We're not going to want to see him go. And you know what? Maybe Hernandez himself doesn't want to go. So Pellegrini's got to do what he thinks is right.
Yeah, well, I completely agree with that. It's also about a statement. Could you imagine Pellegrini has to play an average to raise his value up? What does that say about Pellegrini as a man and a manager? He's, player power is already won here a little way by an average getting a new deal. This is almost like Pellegrini making it 1-1. Go, well, he might have a new deal which may or may not include bonuses on starting games and scoring goals. Well, good luck getting your bloody bonus because you're not starting games. And if you're not starting games, chances are you're not scoring goals either. So take your new contract with your bonuses and stick it. And you can stick it on the bench because I'm going to play Hernandez and he'll get all the bonuses that's in his contract. But it's also swings and roundabouts because if we're trying to sell Hernandez in the summer, we need to play Hernandez, don't we, to increase his value, surely. Because if you play an average, then surely Chicharito's value is going down. So, yeah, Pellegrini's doing the perfect thing here. Stuff value, stuff players, do what he thinks is best to win the next game. And if that is Hernandez, and so be it. There is a sort of an alternative solution here, and that's playing Arnautovic where he used to play for Stoke, which is out wide, play him out in midfield, play both up front, etc. But again, goes back to the thing, wouldn't change the team as it is just now, and I certainly wouldn't do it just so that we add a couple of £1 million onto Arnautovic's value in the summer. I think it's de-appreciating, and I don't think there's anything we can do to stop it, actually. People know he wants out. People know we want to shift him. Doesn't matter how many games and goals he scored. Those facts remain the same. Last question from Twitter, and we'll grab a few from the live chat on YouTube. It's from Dylan. At Adak on. With Billy Bonds recently honoured with a stand in his name, are there any other West Ham players that you feel haven't received a similar honour that are long overdue?
There's plenty. There are too many. Do you know what? There are too many to mention. I've got to say, but you can't honour everybody with a stand unless you have a sort of a hexagonal sort of thingy going on. Which I mean, listen, we got problems getting the stands close to the pitch as it is. You have a multi-sided one. I just don't think it's going to work. I think we need to hold fire on this stand. Also, it's not our stadium anyway. I mean, it's called that stand when we were in it, and that's great. I noticed somebody else on Twitter, I think earlier, I noticed when I read some of the questions, had asked, will the stand be named a Billy Bond stand when there's a concert there? I would imagine not. No, I think they're totally removable, those. It will be Block A, Block B, Block C, that sort of thing. If we are going to name it after someone, I just think we ought to take our time. Somebody suggested the Boleyn stand, and I sort of quite enjoyed that to start off. And then I thought, actually, no, that's almost the wrong thing to do. It's a bit like giving your new dog your dead dog's name. It's a bit wrong, isn't it? Or your mistress, your wife's name. It gets awkward. That gets awkward, doesn't it, when you get their names mixed up? But no, I think just leave it for the moment.
To be honest, I don't think we can call it anything because of the naming rights of the stadium, etc. I'm surprised Betway haven't secured it already, to be honest with you. I'm surprised Betway haven't got it. But the one player I'd like to see honoured more around the West Ham is Vic Watson. How you can be our leading all-time goal scorer and not really get mentioned in the same breath as other legends and stuff, I don't know. I don't get it. I've always found it a bit strange that we just overlook our all-time record goal scorer. And do you know something? I don't think he'll be beaten in my lifetime, to be honest with you. The amount of goals he's got for West Ham, I can't see it. So, I don't know. Strange one. But yeah, I know there's a lot of talk about the West Ham as well, but it's almost like at this awkward stage now. The three big ones have all got their stands. So now you've gone from your three biggest legends, if you like, you go into this next tier, but there's so many of them in there, and everybody's got a different opinion. Because if we all write down 5 legends of West Ham, maybe West Ham writes down the top 5, Bonds, Moore, and Buchan will probably feature in everyone's, but the other 2 will probably be a little bit different here and there. Some will have Devonshire, etc., etc. The more younger ones today might have Noble. I know people go, well, hang on a minute, but the thing is, they'll look at him as the local boy. He's only had one club, etc. So people will look at it. So I just leave it as it is, and get this statue built of whatever they want to build it as. I've seen in the minutes they're trying to basically carbon copy what was over at the over at Upton Park, which I don't think is a great idea if they are going to do that. I'd rather it was West Ham personalised. I know they're trying to bring in the legends of Hurst and Moore, etc. But we'll wait and see what that comes up with. We'll quickly grab some questions from the YouTube live chat. We're running out of time as always. Forever Blowing Bubble says, what's your minimum price for Marko Arnautovic in summer?
I don't think I've got a minimum price. I think you could haggle me down quite easily, to be fair. I think you pitch it high, and if they offer you 25, 30 million, you take it.
I'll say about 30 million. But the question is, what's Pellegrini happy with? Does Pellegrini want short of him like that? Then if so, you just take what you can get, really. Because I think the worst, if that is the scenario, i.e. Pellegrini wants him gone, the worst case scenario is we reject any bids and we're stuck with him when the window shuts again. Pellegrini's still got a player here, and usually it would mean that Pellegrini's missed out on someone he wants to bring in. That's already happened in January match to Gomez. Best not to make the same mistake twice. Gary says, what would you like the club to do to sort of reward fans at the end of the season? His suggestion is a pint.
Well, it depends a pint of what. A pint of Heineken, that's a punishment, isn't it? To be perfectly honest with you. Unless they want to sponsor our channel, of course, in which case that's the finest nectar known to man. I don't know. I don't want gimmicks. I don't want gimmicks. I don't want a pint. I buy my own pint. Actually, Tom said he's buying me a pint at the Huddersfield game. I just want him to invest more than 25 million this summer in the squad.
I think either a £5 voucher or something to spend on food or drink on the day or something, or they give all the kids season ticket holders something. I don't know what. Maybe just the kids, all the under 16s or whatever. A little pack with some bits and bobs in it. Do you know those little Corinthians you get in the club shop that don't look like the players they're meant to be? Do you know the Winston Reid that looks like Dimitri Payet and Martin Noble looks like Robert Snodgrass and whatever, those ones. Maybe a couple of them and a scarf or something. Just send it to the kids' house as a surprise. Send them all out, because someone did contact me. To be fair, I'm going to mention this as a balance thing. If like someone did send me, they said, "Oh, my son's like a member, Claret member, whatever," and he got his scarf just the other day. I mean, bloody hell, it's a bit late. It's March now, and he's only just got. Well, that's what we're looking at. She sent me a picture of it, and he's got his initials on the scarf with the badge, etc. And he said his son is delighted, and the guy that sent it to me said he was really happy with the service, etc. So credit to West Ham because they've got that right. And I just think the kids are the sort of the fans you really need to look after a little bit, because they're your next generation. There's a lot of clubs to choose from now. As a child, I think it's easier to sort of switch to clubs when you're a kid now than it maybe was back in the day when you would have got smacked arse from your dad or something. You went home and said, "I fancy supporting Arsenal." You what? No.
The good old days. The good old days. But I tell you what, they've often got that wrong, the timing of the attire that they release, because I got my West Ham Speedos right slap bang in the middle of winter.
No. But you and your Speedos, I was waiting for the Speedo without the ass joke again. I thought, oh, here we go. He's bringing it out. Just
nice tight pair of pedos.
I thought brilliant. Someone's noticed Adam Johnson's been released from prison. He's now inspired to make another Speedo joke on the next show. But Andy Walsh says, when will season ticket prices go up in order to help fund transfer budget, if you like?
Hello, Andy. Funny enough, Andy posted a video of the Billy Bonds walking around. Saw that. That was good, mate. Thank you. As soon as they can, they'll put them up. I think they'll always keep some cheap, affordable tickets. There's so many, they'll always keep that. But I think there's certain areas of the ground where you can expect to see some price rises. I don't even think fortunes. I think they might keep they'll keep the top ones under 300 quid, and I think you'll see all the others go up by about 30 quid, 40 quid a year, something like that.
I wouldn't touch it. I would not dare touch it, because that thing came out during the season, didn't it? Here's a list of clubs that if you took away their ticket sales for the last season, they would have still generated a profit. And West Ham was in there. Now, we've all seen it. Every West Ham fan sees it. So now every West Ham fan knows that if you were to let every fan in for free next season, the club would still generate a profit. So if you bump that up a little bit, it just comes across as greed. And but let's just say they put the ticket prices up now for next season. I mean, I do think it's a bit funny they've not announced anything, because I think they're waiting to see where we finish and how well the season goes. Because obviously, the better the football over the next month or so, they might do what you're suggesting. Well, the fans are happy, So
I'll tell you what, as long as they keep my ticket price the same, and I'll just charge the mascots a bit more. Do you know what I mean? $3,000 a family, something like that.
Then we might have a discount day, half price, only $1.5
millions of it. Just like you see, this row and row mascots continually come on. Honestly, you'd think there was a large school, the people from a school coming on, grand each. That's the way to fund a football club and exploit the fan base.
The thing is, I don't think they can put them up, because let's say in theory they'd put them up by 30 quid each, right? And most people go, "Oh, dude, it's 30 quid. It works out. What's that? £1.50 per game. We'll put up with that or whatever." And then you only go spend 30 million in the summer. Well, good luck to you. That's all I'll say. Because if that is your genuine transfer budget, and where I've heard the rumor or seen the rumor, it's a reliable source. Let me tell you that it's a reliable source. It's not the Sun. The Sun's not made this rumor up. It's come from somewhere that's usually okay with someone that's good with West Ham news, if you like. And so if it comes out, we do spend 30 million, the season tickets just cannot go up in price, because while we are selling out, I think our sort of appeal, if you like, is with West Ham fans is at its maximum already. I don't think you can afford to lose many season ticket holders, because you will replace them. But it's who are you replacing them with? That's the issue. I think that in terms of your West Ham fan base, everyone's come in. Everyone that supports West Ham's already getting tickets and they've already got them and stuff. You know, I'm not going to the Huddersfield game because I can't afford to do 4 games this month. So I've missed the Newcastle one, which to be honest, I've got a bit pissed off about after the Billy Bonds thing. I started really regretting not going to that one. So I've decided I'm not going to Cardiff one either. I can only do 2, so I'm missing that one. No one wants my ticket, you know, like this is with the good football that we've got going on as well. No one wants to go. So I just think our demand is already stretched, if you like, with that one. Last thing, it's not a question. I forgot about this. A couple of people asked it, and I've seen it mentioned there. Have you seen that thing on BBC Three? The geezer that now supports an Italian club. What did you make of that?
I get what he was trying to say because football has been commercialised. I thought he was very young to be saying it. I mean, I you know, I'm 45, and I do remember it being far more community based. I've spoken many times on the channel about how to play as Billy Bonds himself. You know, about them bringing the FA Cup to my school. I sold in the FA Cup. Alvin Martin. You know, they all used to come down to our school. It was far more community based. So I understand what he's saying, but I don't understand why he's gone to why don't you go and watch Billericay or something? I don't get it. Why has he not just gone and watched a local team? I don't know why he has to feel like he has to go to Italy once a year. Because I get that. I mean, anybody that's gone to any sort of non-league football or gone to see that, crikey, even go and watch your kids play football, it's great. It's a great feeling. It's thriving at the lower levels football. I get it. But I just thought it was a bizarre thing about going to Italy, saving up once a year and going to Italy. Why?
I've got a very half and half view on this. The first half of me that completely gets it is this is going to be a bit of a boring story, but it's story time, Geo story time. Like I've got a younger brother, I've got a sibling, and we were both brought up exactly the same. We had season tickets as a kid at Aberdeen, and went there until I started playing football on a Saturday. Then we had to give up our season tickets. But when we were little, we went to every Aberdeen home game. And my dad would take us to 1 away game, 1 home game, and 8 other game. It could be home or away. So we got at least 3 games each to go see West Ham a season, all through our childhood. And then today, right now, I don't go to Aberdeen very much, once or twice a season. I've got a season ticket at West Ham. My brother goes to West Ham once or twice a season, and he's got a season ticket at Aberdeen. But we both have the same upbringing, but he's completely like that with Aberdeen, whereas I'm sort of very sporadic with it. But then it's the opposite with West Ham. So I can kind of get why he would spend all this money to go find somewhere, because it's just what he feels comfortable with. It's obviously he's fallen in love with that club or whatever it is. He's fallen in love with something. So I can completely resonate with that because I've just done exactly the same with West Ham. What I don't get, he goes on about how his football culture, that was his words, his football culture has changed. And now he goes to Italy for drums. I'm sorry. Drums? That was never a part of the English football culture, but carry on, mate. You carry on. Then he talks about songs being choreographed and they practice songs. I'm sorry, maybe I've missed the song sheets being given out at Upton Park or being invited to the Queen's for a singing practice before we play Norwich City at home. Have you ever been to a song practice? No, you haven't. So he's going on about this culture of football. And I thought, what culture are you talking about? You've fallen in love with that culture. Good on you. But that's not the culture that was Upton Park. You've just fallen in love with something completely different. And I just don't think they go hand in hand. I just think he's almost got muddled up, or the BBC are trying to put it together. But they don't. They're two completely different things. What he wants is not what he had at Upton Park. No problem with what he wants, but don't blame it on the London Stadium because, you know, I don't know. But anyway, up to him. Well, do you want one more question?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Go on, Chris.
I'm trying to read through all the comments now because there's some questions, some no questions. There's a question about David Sullivan. Mike said, I'll take Mike's one because I remember it. He basically said, now Billy Bonds has got a stand. Are you wanting a toilet named after you in the stadium?
I don't need a whole toilet, Joe. I'd just be happy with a urinal. As long as it's got one of them little blue tablet things that makes a nice smell in it, you know? That'd do me, I've got to say. Yeah, nice urinal.
I think people in the 1966 seats were just like their name on the seat, like it's supposed to have, to be honest, like the big. I think they would just appreciate that to happen. And Phil Kent says, do you think Anderson should go for goal more? He often gets into a prime position for a shot, yet chooses to pass. Is this a confidence thing, or is he just unselfish?
I don't think he's unconfident. I think I was looking in the last game, and he got it, and he drove inside a couple of times, and I was thinking, shoot. But then I looked at it, they had closed him down quite well, and I do think his shot would have just ended up smashing off of a Newcastle defender's legs. I don't think there was ever quite enough gap for it to go through. I think he's bright. I'll tell you what, I do love what he does. And it was a criticism of mine at the start of the season when he used to knock it past the player and create a race, and he always used to lose. He was just off of it. He's starting to win them now. I really like it. It's not even a trick. It's not particularly ball dexterity. It's just, but it looks quite flash and speedy. When I like exciting wing play like that.
Yeah, I don't believe him. To be honest, I'm trying to think of an occasion if I've been watching a game recently where I've been screaming at Anderson to shoot and he hasn't. I can't really think of any off the top of my head, to be honest with you, but he does shoot quite a lot, actually, because I like my stats. So when I go to do my bet before the game, I'll have a look at who is shooting for West Ham, and for some reason, Anderson is quite high up for shots per game and stuff. So it might not seem like it, but he is taking them. Perhaps he's just not very good at them, and they're going off target. But I do think sometimes it can include like block shots, i.e., he does what you've just spoke about, where he takes the shot, but the defender's just blocks it, no problem at all. Is there anything you'd like to talk about before we disappear, Gonzo?
No, I would like to say, because I've got to say it, on the cup of tea, I am not looking at the live chat. I've got to say that because I think last time I looked at the comments, someone in the live chat, I said, Gonzo, have you got any tips on how to put a bit of sealant on behind the taps, see the bath, which I thought was, and I do, but by the way, but I just thought, that poor geezer's running that there. Not I would answer such a question on cup of tea anyway, but every week people seem to be on the live chat and think I'm looking at it. I'm not. Geo is. I can't multitask like that and talk to Geo at the same time.
To be fair, I've struggled to keep an eye on it tonight because I've got the Porto Roma game on as well.
What's the score? What's the score?
It's currently 2-1 Porto, which means it's a draw, so it's going to extra time as it stands. But basically, I need one Roma player to have a shot on target to win my bet. He's had a shot, but never went on target. Zanilo, so I need him to score, get a shot in the next 10.
What's the Man U game?
I don't know. I'm watching the Porto game. I just told you.
What's the surely? I thought someone might have put it up in the chat or something.
Oh, I don't know.
I've got a chat now. I'm locked in a cupboard, mate. I don't know. I've got bets on as well, as you well know, my old son.
Well, I'm hoping PSG are winning anyway. But anyway, we always get a lot of questions about for this week. Who would you start up front? If Krez was out injured, would you start Maswelka with Ben Johnson, etc., etc.? We're doing our preview tomorrow night. So myself, Gonzo, and I guess Tom is coming on, and we're going to be looking ahead to the Cardiff game. Hopefully predicting more wins for West Ham. That's where we'll discuss all the team stuff. That's why in Cup of Teas we don't discuss team lineup stuff. It's also so that people can listen to this on Sunday after the game, for example, and it's all still relevant because we're not discussing anything about the game upcoming. But anyway, thank you very much for joining us. If you're on iTunes, make sure you subscribe to the feed on iTunes. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. And Gonzo, we hit 4,000 subscribers finally on the Hammerstrap Forum channel. So well done to yourself, Mike, and the Hammerettes, and anyone else that contributes. Well done. And thanks to everybody that tunes in and listens. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the link is in the description below. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and leave your comments about what we spoke about below. We spoke about the new look stand, the new name stand, Declan Rice, China, women in the quarterfinals, Trott's new deal, Snodgrass being a naughty boy, and a couple of sporadic transfer links. Catch you in a bit.